Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at working with multi-agents, specifically focusing on multi-agent architecture, basically design patterns for working with multiple multi-agent systems, or basically a system with multiple agents that are collaborating together to do something. So there are different design patterns, and I want us to take a close look into this because if you really understand AI agentic systems, one of the most important things I think is understanding how these different architectures work, and it's quite very simple to do. So I think very simple to understand. So I think it's very fundamental that you understand this. That's why I think that's why I want to cover it in this our agentic system course. So that's why I've added this module to the course. So let's begin. We're going to look at a couple of things. So let's just take a quick look at the course overview. So we started from simple agents working with chains, agents with memory routing, filters and resources, states, breaking points, state management, and we're about to go to human in the loop. And then we injected a bunch of things in there. But so we'll come back to human in the loop. Don't worry about that. We already work with long-term and short-term memory already. So we'll come back to human in the loop. But for now, let's just focus on other sectors. We'll come back to human in the loop section. So moving on to different design patterns or the architectures for multi-agent systems, right? So there are a couple of different architectures such as the simple agent architecture, the supervisor agent architecture, the hierarchical agent architecture, the network agent architecture, the custom agent architecture, and also the swarm agent architecture, right? So we're going to look into each of these in detail. So just to get off, let's start by understanding a simple agent architecture. So basically, an agent basically is just an LLM with a bunch of tools, right? That's a single agent. So that's basically what a single agent architecture is. So we have an LLM that takes in user input, reasons over the user input, and then decides on what tools to use to be able to achieve the user's input. For example, we have a tool A, tool 2, and tool 3, right? So let's assume that tool 2 is used for searching the internet. So if I ask my agent, hey, can you tell me what's the current exchange rate, right? So maybe right now I'm currently in Kenya. So let's say I want to find out the exchange rate between the Kenyan shillings and the US dollar, right? So the once the LLM has that question, it's going to decide, okay, I need to search things on the internet. What tool do I use? Tool number 2 can be used to search things on the internet, retrieve relevant information, and use that information to answer the user's question. So that's tool number, that's simple agent architecture. And then we have supervisor agent architecture. So supervisor agent architecture is I really like it. One of my favorite architectures. So basically, you have a top level agent, which is a supervisor agent, and then below the supervisor, we have a couple of other agents that report to the supervisor. So you can think of it like maybe you're working in a place, and then you have a boss who you report to. Then that boss is your supervisor, right? So and then you are the other agents that are below that supervisor agent. So in this case, we have a supervisor agent, the red one, and then we have researcher agent below it, the writer agent, and the spell checker agent. So basically, the supervisor receives a query from the user. Okay, let's say that the user asked the agent to write a poem, right? So okay, the agent think, okay, I need to write a poem. I have the writing agent, the research agent, and the spell checker agent. So let me just use the researcher agent to research on ideas to write poems on. So it goes ahead as the researcher agent to write a poem, and then to do a research on writing the poem. So the researcher agent then uses its tool, basically web browsing tool, either tool 1 or tool 2, to any tool within its arsenal to research on the specific topic, and then returns the output back to the supervisor. So supervisor now has a bunch of things that he can use to write a poem. So the supervisor now decide, okay, now I have all this information, I need to begin to write. So I need to call the writing tool that calls the writing tool. The writing tool does its stuff, uses the available tools to it, generates the content, returns back to the supervisor, and the supervisor decides, okay, I need to spell check this and proofread it. So I'm going to sell into the spell checker. Uses all its tools, maybe Grammarly or an MCP tool to do all the spell checking, and then returns the final output to the supervisor. Supervisor can decide again, okay, I need to do maybe more research or do whatever it needs to do to make the answer or the final response better. If it's okay with the final response, then it can return it back to the final user. If not, it picks another agent below it and then assigns to it a task, and then the agent to respond again, and that whole iteration goes on and on. That's basically the supervisor agent architecture. And then we have the hierarchical agent architecture. So in the hierarchical agent architecture, we have a supervisor at the very top level. Below the supervisor, we have other supervisors. So we can think of them as team leaders. So those team leaders have now agents below them. So those agents have tools, right? So those agents use tools to conduct stuff, and then to conduct different tasks, and then report to the team leader, right? Which is basically the supervisor that is below. This is basically the programming team supervisor and the designing team supervisor in this specific case. So those supervisors then do whatever they need to do. They can use all the agents below them, and all those agents can use the different tools. And then finally, once they're done with the task, they report back to the main supervisor. And the main supervisor, just like the supervision, the supervisor architecture, can decide on which a team to use. So you can assign a task to another team leader, and the team leader can assign tasks to individuals under his team. So for example, we have a programming team supervisor and the design team supervisor. So the human asks, hey, can you design me a website? So, or write me a code for a website. So that's the human question, goes to supervisor. Supervisor decide, okay, I need to design a website. Oh, okay, so I'm gonna be using the design team. So sends a message to the design team. Design team supervisor receives that request and then decide, okay, I need to design a website. So maybe I'm gonna send the message to the UI designer first. UI designer has a bunch of tools, does his stuff, returns the output back to the design team supervisor. Supervisor can decide, okay, I need to do some UX stuff, calls the UX designer, uses his tools to answer the questions or do whatever it needs to do, and then submit the final report back to the design team. And design team now supervise the design team supervisor now can submit a final response to the main supervisor at the top. And then the main supervisor now can go to the, okay, now I have this design, I need to actually write the code. So sends the task to the programming team supervisor. The programming team supervisor can decide, okay, we need to start first by writing off the back end. So goes to the back end, write the back end code, and then sends a response back to, send the result back to the programming team leader. And then, okay, now we have the back end code. We need to go ahead and write the front end code. So the programming team supervisor assigns a task to the front end engineer agent, and then the front end engineer agent uses his tools like Lovable, Cursor, whatever MCP tool it has, uses the tools within its arsenal to do whatever it needs to do. Returns the response back to the programming team supervisor, which then reports back to the final supervisor. And then the final supervisor can decide, okay, am I satisfied with this? If it's yes, then I return the final code back to the user. So that's basically how hierarchical agent architecture work. And you can have multiple hierarchies. So this back-end engineer and front-end engineer can have other agents below them. So it can be 1 tier level, 2 tier level, and on, right? So let's move on to the networking agent architecture. So the networking agent architecture is very simple. So basically, you have a bunch of agents. All these agents are connected to one another. So any agent can talk to any other agents within the basically the collection, right? So you can talk to anyone in the world, right? So you can think of it like that. So agent or web agent can talk to the research agent can talk to the math agent. So there's no restriction. So any agent can talk to any other agents. They're all connected within one network. And then we have the custom agent architecture. So in the custom agent architecture, you basically, as the programmer or the person designing, or the AI engineer or the person designing this AI system, can control what agent can talk to what other agents, right? So I can see that the research agent can talk to the spell checker agent, but the math agent can talk to the spell checker agent. So I can have that control and fine-grained control to tune things the way I want them to be. And that's really the power of custom agent architecture. Moving on to the swarm agent architecture. This is not the diagram for the swarm architecture. So this is just to fool you a bit. So if you can remember, just try to remember what agent architecture do you think this is, right? From our previous discussions, right? So this is clearly not the swarm agent architecture. I just place it here just to get your attention. So this is clearly not. This is just a single, right? A single agent architecture. So in a swarm agent architecture, what we have is that we have a bunch of agents within a room. So you can think of it like putting a bunch of experts within a room, whereby each agent or each person within that room is an expert in one particular field, right? So whenever they receive a prompt from a user, they're aware of each other's expertise, so they can go ahead and automatically hand off tasks to each other to do to see it being accomplished. So there's no limitation to that. So one agent can call the other agent, because maybe I'm a back-end engineer, right? I have written back-end code, I need the front end, so I can go and talk to the front-end developer, and the front-end developer needs a UX design, can talk to the UI guys and the UX guys and stuff like that, right? So that's basically a swarm. So collection of agents whereby once you give these agents a query, they can go ahead, do all their whole discussion without any control, like no like specific predefined path. They can do their own discussions. Agent A can call agent B, talk to the agent B, right, depending on the expertise. So the handoff between these agents is automatic, right? It doesn't depend on any predefined or programmed path, right? That's a swarm, right? And this swarm agent came, I think it was introduced by OpenAI, but also LangGraph, LangChain has adopted it, and we'll look at this in the future videos. We'll actually learn how to maybe implement the swarm agents. So let me know in the comment section below if you guys want to see the code version of the swarm agents. Yeah, so today that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on any other platforms. For example, I also write articles about these videos. You can connect with me on Medium at Prince Cramper, where I write articles about this video. You can also connect with me on YouTube, hopefully where you're watching this video, at Prince Code with Prince. You can find me on X and on LinkedIn at Prince Cramper. So on X, I am Prince_Cramper, basically, and then that's basically Twitter. Right now we call it X. And then on LinkedIn, you can find me at Prince Cramper. So if you have any questions, any suggestions, you want us to collaborate on anything, work together on anything, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm much faster to respond to you on LinkedIn. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have found value out of this video. And yeah, let me know if any questions, anything that you want us to look at. But I would really like us to take a look into implementing each of these architectures, right, one by one. So I wouldn't go over the single agent architecture because we have looked at this already. So something can look at is a supervisor agent architecture, the hierarchical agent architecture, the sequential one, which I haven't talked about in this video, the network agent architecture, the custom agent architecture, and the swarm of agents, right? So yeah, so guys, that's all I wanted to talk about in this video, and I hope you found value out of this video. If you did, please one of the easiest way you can support me is just by liking this video, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and share this video with anyone who you think might find it helpful. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you in the next video. Keep safe.